a person's brain is burnt with the body if a person is Hindu. Okay, so if you claim a person carries their vasanas to the next birth, how do you distinguish between brain and mind? Okay, wait, let's keep that for a little later. Let's go with your first part. Sarthak's point is point number 1, a person can lose his memory in an accident. Correct. Point number 2, a mind is part of subtle body. So his question is, how can a gross, and also third fact is, gross cannot affect the subtle. So his question is, how can damage in the gross body, cause damages in the subtle body? So firstly, just as a matter, just to learn thinking itself, you can't ask a question like this until you establish that there has been um, a damage in the subtle body. For instance, I think I'm doing what we should be doing on Thursdays. Um, for instance, you cannot say, when did you stop beating your wife? Okay, if you say that in a court, the opposite lawyer will say, objection, my lord. Because first you must establish that the person was beating his wife, then you can ask a question like that. Okay, so let's see now whether if your brain is damaged, your subtle body is damaged or not. So that's what we need to establish first. Are you with me so far, Sarthak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you may wonder, why don't I just answer the question instead of going into a whole analysis of thinking? Because I have a fond hope that you all will all learn thinking and then I will be jobless. One such lovely day will come. So for that, it's better that we learn how to think. So you don't need to ever ask anybody anything. You will know it yourself because all your data is already available with you. Most of you will feel, no, I need to learn something. But actually, for most people who've been attending class for, I would say, even 6 months, if you have been regular in your studies for 6 months, all the data is available for you to answer every question that you may have. The problem is always that we are not thinking. The problem is not that we don't have the information. So we'll go with the information we do have. So let's establish first whether damage of the gross body can damage the subtle body. So let's take Sarthak's example. He's given a good one. That here's a person, he met with an accident and his memory was gone. He forgot everything. Now, how will we establish that this made a difference to his subtle body or not? I think the easiest way of doing this is saying that let us, for argument's sake, say that 1 year later, his memory comes back. What will be the condition of the subtle body when his memory returns? Sarthak?
To the original.
To the original. If it had been damaged, how can the original come back? So we can only assume the following. The subtle body cannot express itself unless it has a gross body. You know that, right? You already have studied that. Why do we take birth at all? Because the only way the subtle body can contact this gross world is through a gross equipment. That is why we need this body. Otherwise, why do you even need the body, right? You need the body because the subtle body on its own cannot contact anything in the world. It has to use the medium of the body. You already know this, right? So what is your brain? It is part of your body. What is the subtle body? It is something different from the brain. How does that subtle body express itself? It expresses itself through the brain. If there's no brain available, it cannot contact the world. Right? So now here you damage a portion of the brain. So you block the manifestation of the subtle body, because now there's no subtle gross body to express through. Okay, you block it. Like you go to sleep, for instance, or you go into coma, or you go into amnesia, whatever it is happens to you, or you die, whatever happens, by which the gross body is blocked, the subtle body cannot express. Now, unblock the gross body in some way, give that person birth, or return his brain to its normal condition, or whatever it is you do, that original subtle body will then re-manifest itself. Is that clear, Sarthak? Okay, good, Sarthak. As long as you figured out, it's very good. Now, the person's brain is burnt with the body if a person is Hindu. So if you claim a person carries his vasanas to the next birth, how do you distinguish between human brain and mind? Is this sorted also, Sarthak?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's sorted.
Okay. All right, so let's come back to another difficult aspect of life, which is the relationship of God and the individual. He's already told you, please understand, he has already told you everything you need to know. All the knowledge is already available with you. For everybody who has attended classes regularly for even 6 months, all the knowledge is already with you. So, if at all there is any lacuna in our comprehension, it is because of
Lack of reflection.
Lack of effort.
thinking. Just think a little, think a little, think a little. And as you think it through, because Vedanta is the world's simplest subject. Okay, there is no complication. There is no contradiction. It is the most natural thing for a human being to know Vedanta. It is such a natural thing that if you didn't study Vedanta at all and you just sat down and thought, you'll come to the same conclusion. It is that natural. So please don't think of it as something, oh, some great sage has it. All a person did is he thought about it. He understood whatever he understood of it, any portion he understood of it. And if he understood sufficient portion of it, the rest of us call him a sage. We are the same sage, okay? We are no different. We are that same sage who still has not thought about it enough. When we think about it enough, it will be as clear to us as it is to any sage. You don't have to look up to people and worship people and say, oh, you are so great, you are so great. You are so great means what? If we do everything they do, we will be them. If they do everything we do, they will be us. Okay, but they're sensible enough not to do what we do, so therefore they are safe. So it's quite simple, really. Okay, Srinivasan. In the last class, we got to know that there's no inherent joy in the outside world, and all that we experience is the return to the original state, i.e., stopping the agitation caused. Swamiji had said that all the joy we experience is due to fraction of the Atman within us. Please clarify whether both these statements are true. How you said, Swamiji said, then I have to be finger on the lip. What can I say if you said Swamiji says? But yes, both the statements are not only true, both the statements are the same. Think about what is happening. Think of the mechanism. When the agitation ceases, the happiness which is already there is there. You're just experiencing that. So both the statements are not only true, they're the same statement. Okay? So let's do now verses. I'm just going to read them and I hope you're clear. In the next verse, in the 10th verse, he is going to say what he wants to say. Okay, and he took us on a merry chakkar before he says what he wants to say. Now, maybe what we should do is finish till 10th and then reread these verses again to see whether you have got what he's trying to say. Please understand, the only reason he took us on this merry chakkar is to do what?
Make us
To do a
think.
reflection.
Yes, he's forced reflection upon us, because he said, look, you guys, I'm going to give you knowledge
All
and
the
I'm
time.
going to give you wisdom. I'm going to give you knowledge, I'm going to give you wisdom. And how? Nobody in the world can give us wisdom. Nobody in the world can give us wisdom, because
We have to reflect.
yes. But the more important, that is correct, Deepa, but the more important thing is, how can anyone give you what you have? You already have it. So what is somebody going to give you? It's not possible. Nobody can give you happiness. Nobody can give you knowledge, because you already have it. It's already yours. It is not like we have to go and get it from somewhere. Why do you think Vedanta is so simple? Because we're not trying to get anything. We're not acquiring something we don't have. We're just finding in ourselves what is already there. It is a strange kind of treasure we seek. We experience poverty when we are already monarchs of the universe. It's a very strange treasure hunt we are on. We're treasure hunting something which we already have. If we were treasuring hunting something that we had to still get, we could be poor now and become rich. But we already are rich. It's already there. We're hunting for something which we already have. Please remember this through your entire journey. That you're not here acquiring anything, because you already have it. You're only removing the rubbish. That's all we're doing. We're only removing the rubbish. Your whole spiritual sadhana, you are nothing but a bhangi. You understand the word bhangi? Okay? The scavenger. All you're doing is removing the rubbish. That's all you're doing. There's nothing to gain. Now don't get disappointed and go away. They promised to give us something and now they're not giving us anything. How can I give you what is yours? But please stay. We need to do this whole journey together. So, now, what is verse 9 telling us? We'll do verse 9, verse 10, then we go back and read the whole thing. We'll do summary after we do verse 10, so that you are clear about every verse that we have done. So verse 9, what did he say? Na chamam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya. All those karmanis, all those actions, na nibadhanti. Bandhan, mujhko bandhan mein nahi dalta. Okay, bad. Bad means bandhan, right? To be tied down, to be in bondage. Bad means totally tied down in bondage. O Dhananjaya, very interesting use of the word Dhananjaya to call out to Arjuna in this verse. He always does that. It's very interesting which name he uses for Arjuna in any context. Now he's talking about wealth, his own wealth, his own being of being Brahman. So he's like saying, O Dhananjaya, O victor of wealth, find the wealth which you already have. What are you hunting for wealth which you don't have when you've not taken the wealth which you do have? First you take the wealth which you do have, then you go hunt for more if you wish to. But at least, consolidate what you have. Do that as your first step. You're going out to earn more money, but at least the money which you do have, you collect it with you, keep it with you. So similarly, whatever we are, let us be before we go out in the hunt of anything. You may well find that you need not hunt for anything after you found your own wealth. You may well find that. What you'll find, we'll worry about later. But let's just take what we already have, right? So because it's like a king, okay, he is not taking his own kingdom and is trying to win other kingdoms. So what will people tell him? अरे पहले अपने kingdom को ही ले लो ना, क्यों अपने वाले क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो? Then you go on for more. So nacha mam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya. O victor of wealth, O dhananjaya, जिसने धन का जय किया है. Nacha mam tani karmani. Tani karmani, those actions. For those who are studying Sanskrit, this is your mutagenta, tani karmani, all those actions do not bind me, O Dhananjaya. Do not bind me means do not bind you either. You think that you are going to fight this war and you're going to be bound by it. No, not at all. There is nothing to bind you in this war. Please fight the war because that is your duty. But you are not. You got nothing to do with it. If you were an actor on the stage, if you were Romeo on the stage, then you would play your part of crying over Juliet and rejoicing over her presence and weeping over her absence. You play your part. But no crying and no rejoicing over Juliet that the actor does binds the actor. There's no influence on him. After the play, he may hate Juliet. You know, sometimes these stars have so much competition within themselves. As the star, they may hate each other, but on stage, they are, oh my God, I'm weeping that Juliet has gone away. And the more he hates her, the better he weeps because he has to prove that he's a better actor. So all that weeping over Juliet is not affecting the star. Similarly, all that we have to play in the role that we have to play, maybe we have to fight a fight. Maybe we have to be loving to somebody. Maybe we have to earn money. I mean, so many things we have to do in this world, right? None of those things bind me at all. So we have to understand this as none of the things bind me. There's no point saying there's none of the things binding Atman. Because, yeah, okay, God is not bound. So what? So what? No, I am not bound. That's what I have to get in this whole story. So, nacha mam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasinavat. Very interesting, right? Udasinavat. Vat means like. Udasinavat. You don't need to keep bringing this back, Omkar. I'm sure everybody has that text. Only when we're chanting we can put the text on the screen. Udasinavat. Vat is like. Udasina means indifferent. This is very important in Vedanta because this is where we tend to make a mistake. Udasinavat, like one indifferent. Not one indifferent. Romeo has to cry over Juliet. Otherwise, he'll be thrown out of the play. He has to cry. Rama has to weep over the absence of Sita. He has to go fight that war. He's weeping. I don't know if you know the story. If you ever get a chance to read Ramayana together, that'll be impossible. I think 50,000 verses. How will we do? 700 verses is taking us a long time. But if you ever read it, you'll think, ये रामा है कि कौन है ये राम ये क्यों ऐसे रो रहा है? And even today's teenagers won't cry like this. ये क्यों रो रहा है? Rama will cry over Sita, and Sita will cry over Rama and over the ill treatment she gets. All of this will happen, and yet neither of them has got anything to do with it. They are delighted to be with each other. They are miserable to be apart, and they yet know nothing to do with each other. Or feel the love, whichever way you look, nothing to do with. Oh, Ananya, you're new to the class. Oh, I didn't realize. Is there anyone? How many people are new to the class and have no idea what's going on? Good God. Any other new people? Only Ananya? Or is there anyone else who is new and is feeling that, hey, Bhagwan, yahan kya ho raha hai? Oh, Reet Kalra. Okay, so are you all okay? I mean, has it been clear so far? I haven't done anything in particular on the assumption everybody was old. Are you all both okay with what's happening? Okay, fine. Ananya, you're okay? Grief is okay. Ananya's okay, fine. Oh gosh, I have to remember this each time. Can't there be a way of knowing that there's a new person in the class? Okay, my team, please see whether we can do that. Otherwise, poor things, new people will come there. Oh, what is going on over here? Okay, so Udasinavat. For all those who are new, one quality of Vedanta that we all have to emulate or learn is how to be indifferent like, not indifferent. Indifferent is a tamasic state, is a low state that you couldn't care less what is happening to anybody. This is a very, very bad state. It is like, you're going through COVID, things are okay with you, and you couldn't care less what's happening to anyone else. This is a very, very short sighted way of looking at things, because if we all don't work towards helping each other, towards helping the world together to get out of this mess that we have found ourselves in, how will we protect ourselves, right? The individual cannot survive when the macrocosm has fallen apart. So it will be extremely short sighted of us to do nothing at all. So we have to do whatever we can in our own way, in our own capacity. So does that mean that now we stop everything in the world and just do this? No, can't do that, because we all have our lives too, right? So if we didn't care what was going on, that would be tamasic, that would be very low, that would be very indifferent, that would certainly not be an acceptable human way of doing things. But suppose we get totally involved and we start crying and we get depressed and we say, oh my God, everybody's going to die and whatever. Then that's not very human either, to get so carried away and to get so involved in what is going on. Yes, there is a problem and we will deal with it. That's fine. There's nothing to get so worked up about. So this is rajas, to get very involved into something. But the sattvic state, the state of a Vedanta, is that you are very keenly aware of what is going on. You're doing whatever you could to help the situation, but you're not losing sleep at night over it. You're fine. So the state of Godhood, our own inherent state, Godhood is our own inherent state. That state is already like that. It is already the enlivener of everything we do, and it is already uninvolved in what we do. It's like electricity in a light bulb. The electricity in the light bulb gives the light, but has got nothing to do with the light. In other words, the light is no doubt caused by the electricity, but the same electricity working through a washing machine will wash clothes, not give light. So that result, whatever comes between the gadget and electricity, is dependent not on the electricity, but on the gadget. So you and I, and all of us, every sinner, every saint, works with the same inherent electricity. The same power enlivens us all. But based on the kind of gadget it is functioning through, it will give that kind of manifestation, that kind of expression. So the same self, the same God, the same enlivening principle through a saint gives divine actions. The same through a sinner gives wicked, terrible actions. The same through a businessman gives business actions. The same through an artist gives art. The same force functioning through a mother gives maternal feelings. The same force functioning to a child gives child feelings. It's the same one inherent principle in all of us, but it gives rise to different things based on what equipment, by what gadget it is working through, right? So he says, I'm Udasinavat. Udasinavat means It is because of me you do whatever you do. But what you do has got nothing to do with me. This is important for us to understand. Many people say God does everything, correct. Some people say God does nothing, also correct. It's like saying electricity does something, does everything, correct. And you can also say electricity does nothing. That's also correct. It is the washing machine that washes your clothes. It is the bulb that gives light. It is the fan that gives air. Can't say electricity gives light, though we do say it. Right? So udasinavat. Though I do everything, I have got nothing to do with what happens. I have also nothing to do with the result of what happens. Okay, so that's why it gives this example, not here, but in another place, of the sun. He's a sakshi like the sun, he's a witness like the sun. Everything that happens on planet Earth happens because of the sun. However, whatever happens on planet Earth does not affect the sun in any way. We could all be in a wedding celebration, dancing. Is the sun affected by our dancing? We could all be in the midst of a pandemic, crying, dying. Is the sun affected by it? And yet there would be neither the wedding nor the pandemic without the sun. So udasinavat. Udasinavat means as somebody as if indifferent. You can't say indifferent because without him it won't happen. And you cannot say involved because he has got nothing to do with either the action or the effect. Okay, clear? Asaktam, unattached, doesn't have anything to do with what we are going through. Unattached. It neither wants it nor does it not want it. Any affectation that takes place to my body, mind, intellect happens because I am leaning on something that I should not be leaning on. Swamiji always gives this very, very nice example. He talks about it being a hot summer day and there is a pole, a hot pole, maybe a bus stop pole. It's hot, it's a metallic pole. Now, that pole is hot, no doubt about it, because it's a hot summer day, it's midday, and the pole is hot. Now, this pole will not burn you unless you go and lean on it, isn't it? Unless you go and lean on it, how can it burn you? If you keep even 1 inch space between you and that pole cannot burn you. Similarly, the hot experiences of life cannot burn us unless we go and lean on them. You keep 1 inch gap between you. Take one small step back. How can that influence you in any manner? A little elbow room between us and the world will make all the difference in our experiences. Little elbow room, just a tiny step away, not fully away, because if you're fully away, then you become indifferent. You go and touch it, that means you got involved. But keep a little elbow room. And that's the whole trick of life. What is that elbow room? It is your capacity to think, to pause, to take a deep breath, and to reconsider what is going on. Stop, pause, reconsider, and then do whatever it is in the world you wish to do. We take 30 seconds before we do something. Our life will be so much better. Just 30 seconds. Enough to give it a slight thought. And you're good. So Nor do these acts, O Dhananjaya, bind me, remaining like one unconcerned and unattached to those acts. You imagine that there is a magnet. Okay, there's a magnet. This magnet will stick to a metal, right? This magnet will not stick to a wooden piece. But if you tie the wooden piece and the metal together, this combination will stick. This is the story of our life. The world is the magnet. The metal is our body, mind, and intellect. The wooden piece is the self. The self within will not stick to the world. It's not possible. It doesn't have that capacity. But when you tie these two together, the wooden piece and the magnet, this will stick. Vedanta says just don't tie it and you're good. Your body, mind, and intellect will get affected by the world. That's natural, right? It's so hot. Your body will sweat. It's natural. Somebody is very rude and hurtful to you. Your mind will hurt. That's natural. Thoughts go on in this world and they'll influence your thoughts, and that's also natural. But the whole question is, why are you going and sticking yourself to this whole thing? You don't stick yourself to it and you're good. What's the problem? Is your body hot? Yes, it is. Is it uncomfortable? Yes, it is. But is there any reason that I should be uncomfortable? I can continue to be comfortable, right? If I don't lean on it. So, nor do these acts, O Dhananjaya, bind me, remaining like one unconcerned and unattached to those acts. I hope that is somewhat clear. Verse 10. Mayadhyakshena prakrutihi सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते Maya Adhyakshena. Adhyaksha, you understand, right? The presiding officer. Maya Adhyakshena. By me presiding, Prakruti Suyate Sacharacharam. By me presiding, I'm presiding. Prakruti is nature. Suyate Sacharacharam. Suyate produces. What does it produce? The chara and the achara. The moving and the unmoving. So moving and the unmoving you can take as the living beings and the inert objects. Take it like that. So because I am presiding, Prakriti creates the moving and the unmoving. That means living beings and inert objects. Other interpretations are also possible, but it doesn't really matter. Hetuna nena kaunteya. By this hetu, Anena hetuna, by this hetu, O Kaunteya, O Kuntiputra, Jagat Viparivartate. The Jagat, the world, Parivartate, moves, revolves, goes on, going round and round. So what has he finally told us? Exactly what he told us in chapter 8. You remember the formula we learned in chapter 8? What was that?
Spirit plus
Go
matter
ahead.
equals spirit plus matter equals to the individual.
Very good. तो घूम घूम के वहीं पर आ गए पहुंच के. Okay, he told us exactly this in the 8th chapter. The combination of spirit and matter makes forth the individual. Right? This is what he told us last time. We didn't understand a word of it. So therefore, he told us in roundabout ways in the hope that this time we have understood it. Okay. So by me presiding, so I am the Adhisthana, I am the Adhyaksha. Right? I am the Adhyaksha. And because I am the Adhyaksha, everything around me is going on. It's like the king. Rajavat Sada says Atma Bodha. You should do Atma Bodha sometime, no? Rajavat Sada, always like a king. The king has to come and sit in his throne. And then everything in the court will start happening. When he gets up and leaves, the whole proceeding closes down. Even if you're in the middle of it, if he has left, you have to shut everything down. Right? So, this is the nature of the king. So, similarly, it is the nature of the Atman. The Atman presides over the whole proceedings. It is the enlivening factor. It is the electricity within all of us. It is the petrol in every car. As long as it is there, things work. When it is not there, everything stops. Luckily for us, it is never not there, so things keep going on. So that's how the world revolves. That's how activity. What is world? World refers to activity. So how does activity go on? It is the combination. World is nothing but activity. Just think about this, right? Every part of it is only action. There is nothing in this world which is stationary. When you think of a single stationary object in this entire universe, don't exist. The planets are moving, the galaxies are moving, the universe is moving. You and I, we are all moving. Nothing is stationary. Even when we choose to sit down, we are not stationary because,
Our mind is all over.
okay, mind is all over. What else? Even if you're in deep sleep and your mind is going nowhere, you're still not stationary.
Earth is moving.
Earth is going round.
Earth is moving. Not possible. So what is Jagat? Jagat is only activity. What is life? It is only activity. And we are foolish enough to think that we should be escaping activity. How can you escape activity? Don't even think that thought. That is why in Vedanta there is no concept of retirement. If you're alive, please work. Life is very simple. As I've often told you, in Vedanta things are very simple. Once you come to Vedanta, now it's all very simple, very comfortable. There's no complications in life. Should I be working or not? If you ever ask yourself this question, I'm now 87 now, not 80. I'm now 102 years old. Should I be working? What's the answer?
Yes.
Put your finger under your nose
Yes,
and
very
see
good.
if you're still breathing.
Yes, correct. You're right. Put your finger under your nose. Are you breathing? If you're breathing, please work. Because as long as you're breathing, you are taking in resources from the world, isn't it? And as long as you're taking in resources from the world, you better pay back. Don't just stay here and say, I'll take. What do you mean you'll take? See, maar padegi if you have that attitude in life. I'll take. You're there, then serve. And in Vedanta, action is also very simply understood. Action is equal to, what should your action be?
Service.
It's so simple, no? All just simple formulas. In the Upanishad, they don't use the word service. Do you know that? The Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad says, may you live 100 years working. Understood, work means service. There's no other work. It doesn't recognize any other work. Please understand that every single thing in nature is in a state of service. If your planet does not revolve, you know what will happen to you? Every single activity is in service. So that's what we follow. If you're alive, work. Work is equal to service. In other words, do whatever you can, in whatever way you can, to be of help in any situation. Whatever your situation be. Yeah, but I'm paralyzed. I can't do anything. You can still do something. Find out what it is. Remember Christopher Reeves? He was paralyzed from neck down at the age of, I think, something like 30 or something. And he died at the age of 52. And how much work he did in that period. He started research institutions for paraplegics. He raised funds for Africa. How much work did he do? So if you claim for some reason, I can't, I'm too old, I'm too dumb, I'm too anything, you can always serve. There's plenty of room for service. Plenty of room for everyone. So by me presiding, Jagat parivartate. Parivartate, vartate moves, goes round, revolves. Parivartate, it's going round and round and round. So by my doing something, all this activity is going on. And in Vedanta activity, whole activity is for service. Whole. There should be no part of our life which is not for service. How can I have to brush my teeth? How can I do service all the time? Please, brushing your teeth becomes service. If you don't brush your teeth, we will have to suffer the consequences. So please brush your teeth. But your attitude in that is always to be service, not yourself. So do I not have to have a bath? How can I do service all the time? I have to have a bath. Yes, please do have a bath. Your bath will become service. Do whatever needs to be done. It's the highest form of service. Do whatever needs to be done. In different situations, different things need to be done. Then your service will be considering what needs to be done. In the situation that we have found ourselves now, because of our own activity, we have treated the planet so badly, it's not funny. And now we found ourselves into this horrible situation. Now what should we do? Is it not each one of us, our individual responsibility to see what we can do to help the situation? And do it, whatever it is you think can help. Along with everything else you do. You don't have to stop everything to do that. But then every bit of life has to be service, right? Why should we perform actions which are not service? All actions, service, only service. And only see service. Sarthak, isn't that the age, 102, to withdraw from external activity and concentrate inwards, upasana? Sarthak, how old are you? Just checking. How old are you, Sarthak? "21." So, to withdraw from external activity and concentrate inwards, my age is not for that, at 102. So, Sarthak, according to you, we should just close down the class because as far as I know, nobody here is 102. But is there any 102-year-old person here? Anyone? You don't say no. How do you all know? There may be somebody. Nobody, right? Nobody that is volunteering that they are 102. So, if this class is not meant to withdraw from external activity and concentrate inwards, then what is this class meant for?
Ma'am, this class isn't external activity. You don't consider it as an external activity.
What? Say that again?
Ma'am, you don't consider this class as an external activity.
I don't consider. What do you consider it?
Ma'am, external activity.
This class is external activity. Then what according to you is internal activity?
Ma'am, meditation, something like that.
So only people who are 102 should meditate.
No, मैम, मैंने ऐसा कुछ नहीं कहा. मैंने बस कहा कि उस एज में क्या कहते हैं एक्सटर्नल एक्टिविटी कम करके इंसान मेडिटेट ज्यादा नहीं करेगा.
मुझे क्या पता, मुझे तो ऐसे लगता नहीं है, पर आई डोंट नो ऑन व्हाट बेसिस यू हैव दिस रैंडम फिगर कि 102 में मेडिटेट करेंगे, तो पहले नहीं मेडिटेट कर सकते क्या?
मैम नहीं मैम, आपने वो फिगर दिया था, एक सपोज कोई एक 102 की एज में एक्टिविटी करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, तो मैंने उसी फिगर को पकड़ा. अभी आपने मैम 5-7 मिनट्स पहले वही वाला फिगर दिया था, तो मैंने वही वाला फिगर पकड़ ली.
ठीक है, okay, I'll say 110 also, but the fact is, withdraw from external activity and concentrate inwards, which you're calling upasana. Okay, I accept in upasana. So, इस class में upasana नहीं होती क्या? I hope everybody here speaks Hindi. Oh, here's Marsh. Marsh, do you speak Hindi?
Yeah, ma'am, but it has a little bit of karma yoga mixed in it, right? So, like some external
So wait,
activity.
stop. Karma yoga is not upasana.
It is upasana. It is a
तो
form
फिर
of.
क्या पूछ रहे हो? Think it through.
Ma'am, but it is
Think,
not purely
think.
it is not, ma'am, meditation is purely meditating. Like आप वहीं बैठ के केवल meditate ही कर रहे हो, and this has a little bit of activity mixed in it.
Think it through, Sarthak. When, at what age should a person start meditating?
Ma'am, there's no specific age. Like whenever.
Stop. Don't go on explaining, Sarthak. Everybody gets it. There is no specific age. So why are you thinking that at 102 you should meditate? Can I not meditate when I was 21?
Ma'am, if one is pure enough in the mind, then sure.
Then what is it to do with age? Think it through, Sarthak. उतावला होने से knowledge नहीं आती. Think what you're saying. Think it through. Just think. Sit down 2 minutes, 30 seconds gap. Think it through. Is an older age a reason to withdraw from external activity? Think all this. कुछ बोलो नहीं. सिर्फ think करो.
Ma'am, I just assume that at a age of 1 or 2, that person would have been performing karma yoga from all these years, and he would be very pure, so that he could take that age
Why
and
making
withdraw.
all sorts of assumptions? Who said anything about what that person did in the past or future? At 21, do karma yoga. At 102, do karma yoga. कोई फर्क नहीं है. Yes, no farak. Karma yoga is service. Just do service. Every breath should be service, because everything you did in your life was as a consecration. The only difference between a person doing gross activity and subtle activity is the vision in the activity. There is no other difference. If your vision is low, your activity is gross. You could be sitting in meditation trying to get more money for yourself. It is called gross activity. You could be working from morning to night with the vision of serving the world. It is subtle activity.
So, ma'am, this could be a subtle activity too.
Do I need to answer that? Socho. You know, if you went to Swamiji, itni maar padti, he would never open your mouth only again. Socho, fir bolo. This forum is there for people to talk, but after considered thought. Okay, so now let us see. Is this verse clear? Because I'm trying to finish this, the concept. This is clear? No problem, right? By this combination of spirit and matter, all the activity in the world continues. Now let's go back and see this. From verse 4, he has tried to take us on a spin up to verse 10, okay, to force us to think. And I'm reading these verses just so that you take cognizance of the fact that every verse of this fits in, and none of these verses are contradictory to what he has concluded with in verse 10. Okay, you should be doing it on your own, but I'm not even going to tell you because I know what happens after class ends. So let's read it together. Verse 4. Omkar, will you put it on the screen? All this, from verse 4 onwards, Omkar. All this world is pervaded by me in the unmanifested form. Okay, clear? All this world, every activity is pervaded by me in the unmanifest form. Okay, look, he's used even the same word so that you know we are on the right track. Jagat. All this Jagat is pervaded by me. Okay, so every movement is a combination of spirit and matter. In the unmanifested form means you see the matter, you don't see the spirit. You'll see the body, mind, intellect. You cannot see, you cannot experience the spirit. All beings dwell in me, I do not dwell in them. It is like electricity saying all these gadgets work with my force. I mean, they dwell in me, I don't dwell in them. Like the waves dwell in the ocean. The ocean, you don't say dwells in the waves. So that is correct, right? Now, verse 5. Nor do beings dwell in me. Behold my divine yoga. Nor do beings dwell in me means you believe that there is some samsara going on over here. Really isn't happening. The ocean alone exists. All the waves are merely a figment. Are just coming and going. It's not of any consequence one way or the other. Bringing forth and supporting beings, myself does not dwell in them. So, though I seem to be making everything happen, I've got nothing to do with what happens. Verse 6. As the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests ever in space, even so know that all beings rest in me. Okay, so this is very clear. Just as the wind blows everywhere, but it's always in space, so too all activities go on everywhere, but it's always in the medium of the self. Right? Then verse 7. O Kaunteya, at the end of the kalpa, all beings enter my Prakruti nature, and at the beginning of a kalpa, I bring them forth again. Okay, so this is like electricity saying, at the beginning, I give you light, and when the gadget closes down, then I take that light away. But I bring them forth, I bring the light forth, and I take the light away. So actually the electricity is constant, right? It is not that the electricity is taking the light back and forth. It is that the gadget is going on and off. So at the end of a kalpa, any time period, the light will go on, go off. Electricity is there. The light switch goes on and off. Okay. Then verse 8. Animating my own Prakriti, I bring forth again and again this multitude of beings helpless by the force of Prakriti. Now you see how he's reducing his role in this. So I'm the electricity. The multitude of beings means the light, the washing, the air, all this is going on and on and on. I stay where I am. Because of the gadgets moving, all this manifestation takes place. Verse 9. Nor do these acts bind me, O Dhananjaya, remaining like one unconcerned and unattached. I've got nothing to do with all this. You gadgets come off, you gadgets go on. Electricity stays ever the same. And then the last one. Finally, he says, this is the combination, this entire activity cycle is the combination between spirit and matter. Okay, so now if you understand all these verses, that means you understood the concept that he's trying to convey. This is amazing. Oh, Sarah has a question. All our lives, we have so strongly identified with our body, mind, and intellect that it's hard to understand how your body can experience heat when it's outside, but you are not affected. How your mind can feel hurt when someone yells at you, but you are not affected. What does it look like when your body, mind, intellect don't get affected? You don't, and yet you don't. Okay, very simple, Sarah. Think of it like this. Okay, here's an example. Suppose you are going in a lift and there's a very cute child in the lift. So you say, hello baby to the child. Sarah, you're here, right? Here you are.
Yes, sister.
Okay. So you say to the child, oh, you're such a cute baby, you say to the child. Hello baby. And then the child looks at you and says, I don't like you. Then Sarah, what will you do?
Nothing. I'll just find it
Nothing.
cute.
Yeah, you'll find it cute, right?
Yeah.
That's what it means. I
Oh,
find it
okay.
very cute. And it's
Mhm.
just a cute child. I don't like you, the child is saying. You'll come home and tell your husband that. Okay?
Yes,
So
darling.
your
Yes.
ears have heard this, but you're not affected by it at all. You're in fact amused by it. Got it?
Yes, Janki, thank you.
So, in other words, when your vision is on the higher, when you have grown up in life, these things are okay. Some people will find you very good, they'll worship you. Some people find you bad, they'll hate you. You will find both of them quite cute.
Got it. Thank you, Janki.
Okay, so that's
Janki,
it. Yes,
announcement.
Bharat, go ahead.
Hari Om everyone. This evening we are having a special Q&A, Peace in the Pandemic. We've already shared the details on the group. We'll be sharing again. It's going to be live on Zoom and YouTube. Please share the details with friends and family and those you feel might benefit from it. Thank you. See you.
Thank you, Bharat. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Janki ji.
Thank you, Janki.
Hari Om, Janki ji.
Thank you, Janki ji. Hari
Thank you,
Om.
Janki ji. Thank you. Hari Om. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hariom Janki ji, thank you.
Hari
Hariom Janki ji,
Thank you.
thank
Hari
you
Om.
so much.
Om.
Thank you.
See you again, all of you. Bye.
Bye.